Hi, my name's Rob Sanderson, and I run Port Townsend Boat Company, a boat brokerage in Port Townsend, Washington. And I'm standing aboard Singawing, a 68-foot staysail schooner built by Nauman & Dunbar up in British Columbia. She's hybrid electric propelled, and we'd love to have you on board for a tour to show you more.
Offshore, Singawing is capable and powerful, but most importantly, comfortable, making up to 11 knots on a reach. 200-mile days are extremely attainable. At speeds over 8 knots, the entire vessel hits a groove. From below decks, marked by a gentle, audible rhythm, you are aware that the boat is in its element, at sea, doing what she was designed to do, cross oceans. 2,000 square feet of sail, including a Genoa, forestay, staysail, main, and a fisherman, allow for endless sail handling options and combinations. During the 2015 rebuild, all of Singawing's tanks were replaced. New smell-containing fiberglass holding tanks with hard PVC piping were installed. Stainless steel water tanks replaced old aluminum ones, and a fiberglass integral 135-gallon fuel tank was built with a dual purpose. It also served as the generator base. In the middle of the vessel, you will find Singawing's deep, safe, and comfortable cockpit. Even in the biggest seas, the crew will feel secure and dry sitting in this command station. At the front of the cockpit, you will find the main Garmin multifunction display GPS and radar head unit, as well as twin GMI sail information. These display weather, temperature, water information, as well as wind speed and boat direction and rudder angle indicator. Singawing has been set up so that it's quite possible for someone to single-handedly sail her. All of the working deck lines come aft to the cockpit, so we could do all of our sheeting, outhaul, and furling right here at this electric winch. Rope clutches, hidden deck lines, and a pretty organized storage system make for a very easy single-handed boat. To port and at the forward end of the cockpit, we observe the main companionway into Singawing Saloon. Here we will notice the Jim Parrott custom etched glass artwork on the companionway door. An iconic Pacific Northwest image, the blue heron stands in a field of grass. The first time a person comes down into the Salon of Singawing, they're taken aback by the amount of light that comes in through the voluminous use of windows everywhere. Singawing's rich wood interior is adorned with mahogany, blonde ash, and American oak. Throughout the vessel, you will encounter comfortable lounging and seating areas of supple ultra suede, Alcantara, and Italian leather. The overheads are a mixture of noise, dampening ultra leather and tongue and groove panels. Behind these appointments, the vessel uses high-tech aerogel vacuum-bagged insulations to increase heating and cooling efficiency. The entire cabin is illuminated with directable Italian Cantaloupe and Luminatics LED fixtures, controlled by VMARF switches and dimmers. Around and under the pilot berths and settees in the Salon, you will find deep storage bins. They can handle large volumes of gear. Growing up in the Pacific Northwest on a 36-foot sailboat without a Dodger or an interior steering station was a very interesting thing for me to see. I would sit in my bunk waking up in the mornings and watch my father as the rain poured down off of his forehead, off of his nose, and dripped to the ground. And I promised myself at that point I would never own a boat where I couldn't steer from inside. The inside steering station is complemented with an additional multi-function display chart plotter, autopilot controller, sail, depth, rudder, angle, and weather display instruments.
Hi, I'm Chef Steven, and I'm the chef here on the Singawing Galley. I'd like to show you around here, but first, a little bit myself. I've worked on boats for 20 years, and this is by far one of the most efficient mid-sized galleys that I've ever worked on. With that said, let me show you around. Compared to the other charter vessels I've worked on, the ample storage in this galley is fantastic. The expansive counter space really works great for prepping meals. The two deep compartment sinks are excellent for soaking and washing multiple dishes at a time, which is convenient when you're catering a big group. The 4-burner stove with broiler is convenient and well placed in the galley. The natural lighting illuminates the space, making it easy to see everything. Having 2 separate windows is very efficient for cross ventilation when cooking on the stove. There is also a separate chilled water filter spigot for access to clean drinking water, eliminating the need to bring bottled water on board. There is plenty of storage for wine glasses, juice, tall boys, and tumbler drinking glasses. This galley has enough room for you and a sous chef to prepare a meal. What's also great about this galley is the flow between the refrigerator and the stove, as it makes it convenient for you to cook for one person or multiple guests.
Between the master stateroom and the saloon, we find a very well-appointed navigation room, complete with a comfortable Italian leather button chair and a large chart bin with a lifting chart table, well lit and ventilated by its own porthole. Also found in the navigation room is a Niles 75-mile cellular amplification transmitter module. Inboard from the navigation table is a cedar-lined locker currently used for file cabinets, tools, vacuums, and brooms. Just forward of the tool locker is the twin-door, 10 cubic foot deep freezer complete with 3 stainless steel racks and a Glacier Bay marine refrigeration holdover plate. Now let's check out the master stateroom. Moving into the back of the boat, we see this lovely place to hang out. This is one of my favorite rooms on the boat by far. It's just palatial compared to other boats of this size. Tons of natural light dumps in from the hatches and all the windows. They're opening windows across, so there's great cross ventilation. It's a very warm and wood feeling place. You could spend half a day in here and not even be uncomfortable. Each room aboard Singawing has individual climate controls and vents. Warming temperature controlled hydronic towel drying racks are found in the heads. Comfortable dry baseboard heaters are found in the saloon. Every closet is paneled in aromatic red cedar and warmed by hydronic heating tubes. On a chilly day, one could reach for a preheated blanket to take up to the cockpit with your favorite book and a cup of coffee. One of the other fantastic features of the master stateroom is it comes complete with its own ensuite head. In the master head, mounted in the granite countertop vanity, the basin is copper with a touch and motion-sensitive bronze faucet. This is not only hygienic, but also helps to conserve water on an extended cruise. Heat exchangers provide instantaneous, unlimited hot water showers as long as there is water in the water tanks. In the forward head, we again see a hydronic towel bar heater that is thermostatically controlled locally. A good-sized shower basin, a sink, and large cabinets with shelves for storing towels and toilet paper. Here we also find a vanity cabinet for various toiletries. The middle stateroom is considered by most that have been aboard Singawing as the coziest place on the boat. The bunk here is the same width as a queen at the head and a double at the foot. This is also where the ship's LG washing machine and dryer combination is located. Entering the forward or VP stateroom, one immediately feels immersed in the warm accents of mahogany and blonde ash. Large volumes of light dump in through the new Lumar hatches and opening ports. The bunk here is a queen at the head and a double at the foot. Also found in this room are 6 large drawers for storing clothing, as well as a hanging locker and a drop door bin. Individual climate controls, louvered vents, AC outlets, and USB ports are all around the cabin. At the aft end of the main saloon, we find ourselves staring at the primary control center for the vessel, the brain, if you will, and all of the ship's AC and DC breakers are located here. These are used to control everything from the navigation lights to tank pump outs to water pressure to the AC and USB outlets throughout the boat. On the side of the console, you will find AC switchboard. This is where decisions can be made as to what type of shore powers are available, which inverters are running, and how the inverters are running. Plus, you can also monitor the outback mate meter here. As we ply into the inside of the center column, you will notice the intricate wiring, labeling, and color coding throughout. This represents a painstaking 280 hours of wirecraft, layout, and thought process. Did we mention that Singawing comes complete with a man cave? In 2013, we had aging diesel engines. They were underpowered, 40 horsepower maximum because of the size of the engine room, and they weren't up to the task. They were leaking oil, they were failing. We decided, being an eco charter company, that we would have to replace those engines with something that was more friendly than the status quo diesel engines. So we went with a hybrid electric propulsion system. We went with twin 100 kilowatt drive motors and inverters, coupled to a 50 kilowatt hour battery bank, giving us a 2.5 hour all electric autonomy. If we decided to go further than 2.5 hours, we would then have to rely on a generator. So right now we're looking at a UQM electric propulsion system. These were originally designed for the Coda all electric vehicles. It develops an immense amount of torque, which allows it to spin bigger propellers at a more efficient rate than any diesel engine could ever dream of doing. What we're looking at is the high voltage contactor boxes and management system for the propulsion system. As of today, we have approximately 1,500 hours on the propulsion system with only traditional diesel issues on the generator. It must be noted that if you notice the orange cables, that is pilot line. It's an automotive industry standard. You cannot be shocked by this system. And if there's any grounding or any short circuiting, automatically limit switches open the contactors and drop the whole system voltage to 50 volts. Inside each high voltage box there are limit switches, so if you were to pull the cover off of either of the high voltage boxes, the system immediately drops to 0 voltage. One of my least favorite parts of boating has always been maintaining the engine. I didn't like hanging upside down in an engine room, dropping parts into a cavity deep down below where I couldn't reach it. So in Singawing we devised a system that we actually brought the engine room up into the salon. Not having a drive shaft allowed us to do this with relative ease. The motor comes up to you or the mechanic, and every part has 360-degree access around the motor. This increases maintenance because it's enjoyable, and also allows people to see with good light if there's any issues. With the new propulsion system, the audible propulsion noise levels have been significantly decreased. We can run at a very comfortable 70 decibels in the main salon. As you can see, my voice comes up above the level of the engines, up to 74 decibels, but the generator actually only produces around 70 decibels. And now we've actually turned off the generator, and now we're running under electric power only, and you can see the levels have substantially decreased. Now we're enjoying a decibel level from the propulsion system of around 62 decibels. In 2015, the old furlers were removed and replaced with pro furlers. All of the running rigging was buried inside the cabin and deck sides. Additionally added for safety was the hard rails that you witness on Singawing. From stem to stern, we have 1.25 inch stainless steel piping. That gives you security at sea. You can stand on them, lean up against them. They're not like the traditional cables. They give you a much more secure and stable footing. In addition to brand new Lumar hatches throughout the vessel, in 2015 we also replaced all of the exterior windows on the vessel. Singawing was appointed with double pane, hardened on the outside, and safety on the inside glass, tinted black. Not only did this make the boat look fantastic, but it also provides superior insulation for the winter when you want to stay warm and the summer when you want to stay cool. When it comes to ground tackle, Singawing leaves nothing to be desired, understanding that an excellent anchoring system is the first line of insurance and allows for a good night's sleep. This vessel is bestowed with an 88-pound Rockna 40 and Mantis swivel, tethered to 200 feet of 1/2 inch BBB chain, followed with 300 feet of 3/4 inch nylon rode. The 1/2 inch chain in this use provides the same amount of weight as 400 feet of 3/8 inch chain, but does it in half the scope. Singawing's backup anchor is impressive in its own regard, boasting a CQR 140-pound plow, coupled to 400 feet of 3/8 BBB chain. All of this heavy steel tackle is handled readily by a Maxwell 3500 HWC windlass, with a custom-built PT Foundry bronze capstan and duct-mounted foot switches. At the end of the refit, we decided it would be nice to add additional solar panels. So 400 watts of additional solar panels were added to the rail mounts, as well as the 1100 watts that was currently existing on the aft of the boat. In the aft deck locker, we've got the deck refrigerator for all your ice-cold beverages, a nice storage area for barbecue tools and whatever else you have on the back deck, and the propane tanks for not only the stove, but the barbecue as well. You'll notice that not only do the dinghy davits provide great storage for stand-up paddleboards and kayaks, but the bottom of the solar panel racks act as a great place to store water sport paddles, fishing poles, fishing nets, rods, other things sort of like that. Singawing also comes with a Galley Mate rotisserie barbecue that comes with a spit and does all of its own rotisserie electrically. So for storage of sails and other large objects, such as dinghies, inflatable stand-up paddleboards, and things like that, there's a large area that I like to call the garage. Holds quite a bunch of stuff, including all the sail bags, shore power, all the lines, fenders, and anchors.
Thank you for sharing with me these line drawings today. But what makes Singawing's construction details different than other boats or production vessels?
Well, to start, when the owner originally conceived of this boat, he and I've gotten many interviews with the actual original designer, and so he's partaken and shared with me the conversations they had. He wanted a boat that could go anywhere on the globe, anytime it wanted to, throughout any season, and encounter gales and nasty weather if it had to. Of course, you'd try to avoid that, but he wanted to build a tank for the seas, essentially. In doing so, they increased the scantlings to numbers unheard of for production vessels, except for the very early ones before they understood the strength of fiberglass. So, for example, in the hull areas below the waterline, you have, throughout the entire bottom of the boat, you have over an inch thick solid fiberglass reinforced plastic. In the upper bow areas, if you could hand me this for instance, you're up to 2 inches in the front of the keel, and at the strike zones, if you will, on the front of the boat, you know, in this area right here, it's up to 4 or even 5 inches thick throughout. Above the waterline, you want to keep insulation and increase strength, so they went with 5/8 inch outer shell, then an inch of foam, and 3/8 inch inner shell. And what that did was it creates a warmer boat, less sweating on the inside of the boat, so it's not damp, and it also really increases strength. The downside to a foam core is that it can become saturated with water. And if a foam core is saturated with water, it loses its insulation properties and it actually gets weaker. So what they did is they contained the foam every 18 inches with riblets that run down. So if one area was to get wet from, say, a protrusion or an accident or a deck leak, it would be contained to that 18-inch strip along the side of the boat. The decks are of similar technique and construction, only they do not have the foam core. They were originally overlaid with teak. We removed the teak and just reglassed everything before the new LP paint job went down. But what is most interesting about this boat is in the details of the sidewall construction. Within the pilot house, traditionally a pilot house boat like this isn't considered to be a seaworthy because it's got you know, a larger house that can take the abuse of the seas on it. So what they did here is an 1/8 inch of glass, followed by 3/4 inches of plywood, followed by 1/4 inch of aluminum, followed by 5/16 of plywood, and then the interior veneer. So the overall dimensions are quite stout, incredibly strong, and the boat is designed to take a complete direct hit of a rogue wave, roll over completely, and come back up the other side without any damage whatsoever.
For more information or to get on board, please check out my website, porttownsendboatco.com. And we've got lots more photos there as well as all the details of the boat, and we'd love to show you aboard.